Hello, hello, everyone. Welcome to our Let's Get Hired series. This is episode 5 with Sarena. We are here to discuss all things professional development and hiring. So welcome. We are going to start off learning a little bit more about Sarena and where she comes from. So if you'll tell us a little bit more about your journey into hiring, we would love to hear it. And welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Jennifer. It's a pleasure to be here, and I'm really excited to be able to chat again. So to tell you guys a little bit more about myself, yes, my name is Sarena. I am a recent graduate, and I currently work at Cox Communications, which is headquartered in Atlanta and is a telecommunications company. And I'm currently a university recruiter there. So what I do is I currently recruit for internships and co-op positions throughout different areas of the business. And we recruit nationally and at different target schools and primarily in Georgia. So the way I got started in HR is kind of a little bit of a whirlwind journey. It was definitely not a straight path to get there. And I was definitely not one of those people that thought that I would be a recruiter or even aspire to be a recruiter when I was a kid. I was actually wanting to become a third grade teacher when I was little. I was actually homeschooled for a little bit, fun fact, and I went into public school when I was in third grade, and I guess that just kind of solidified that career for me, or so I thought. And so I took an internship in the senior year of high school and then did that internship, really loved it, but decided that it didn't exactly fit my personality. So that's why I think it's so important for people to take internships during college, because I think a lot of people realize what is for them and what isn't for them. And that's not really something that you can really decide when you're in classes, just working on projects and not really getting your hands dirty on the actual kind of work that you're going to do in that kind of position. So I decided to major in psychology and sociology in college since I really enjoyed taking my AP psychology classes in high school. And then I wanted to go more of the research route. I did some research with NASA. I even did an honors thesis. And that was a really great experience too. But then I wanted to try out what it was like to work in corporate. So I did an HR internship after my sophomore year, and I really loved that. It was a lot more of the hands-on, like detail-oriented work that I knew that I was good at. So I decided to pursue that further, and I did another HR internship the following year. And I also joined a SHRM chapter at my school to help me get plugged into that community and help bridge that gap because, I was a social science major. I wasn't a business management major. And then I started looking for jobs. So I realized that I really enjoyed the recruitment that I did at my prior internships. So that's how I decided to go more into that direction and step into the world of HR with recruiting. And recruiting is really just the foundation of every single company. So yeah, I'm happy where I'm at. And I think it's just going to go in a great direction from here. And then in addition to that, I also started writing content on LinkedIn back during late July. And that's been something that I really enjoyed recently. So for me, it was really just a creative outlet. And I wasn't even necessarily posting recruitment advice. It was just general life commentary. Sometimes I can't even remember what kinds of content I posted back then, but I really have a bunch of different kinds of content that I like to put out there and have people relate to. So that's been super rewarding, and I've been able to grow my following in that way. It's kind of like my passion project on the side. And then besides that, I'm also really involved with TechPod, which is a community for young professionals looking to break into the business side of the tech industry. And I am one of the program managers for them, which means that I head their fellowship program. And their fellowship program consists of over a dozen rising content creators who are currently students and located all over the world. And they are also trying to build their following on LinkedIn as well.
Amazing. That is an incredible story. Thank you so much for sharing. I think that that's very common with a lot of people in recruiting coming into that background maybe from not as traditional of a place, and then just coming into recruiting and just really rocking it. So speaking of that, because we're already talking about LinkedIn, your amazing content, and if you don't follow Sarena, definitely do, because she's amazing and she posts amazing things. But speaking of LinkedIn, I feel like we haven't talked about this enough during this specific hiring series. So would love for us to spend a little bit of time there. What is your strategy when it comes to LinkedIn? Or do you have any sort of strategy? Do you just really post organically? And how do you recommend others get started?
Yeah. Wow, that's such a broad question, and there's so many different ways that people can approach it. So I would say when you first start out on LinkedIn, definitely go for the networking approach. So that's what I did when I first started. I used LinkedIn as a way to find people and to get informational interviews before I started posting my own content and having people reach out to me. So I love using personalized invites. I love looking up my alumni network, and really just getting to know what other people in my industry and my field there are out there. So that's a really great way to just utilize LinkedIn right away if you don't want to put yourself out there in the form of content yet. But if you are ready to do that and you feel like that's something that you would like to do, then definitely just feel free to post about something that you want to be, or post about the current struggles you're going through. Just post something real, post something authentic. And it's really cool to see all of these like viral rejection posts on LinkedIn. That's just something that's touches my heart, because a lot of other social medias kind of make it seem like you have to be this like perfect version of you. But the algorithm on LinkedIn really values relatable content, and content that people relate to in the way that they're struggling, and the way that like life is hard sometimes, and the recruitment process is hard, and people are on LinkedIn because they're looking for a job. So those are topics that you can post on LinkedIn, as well as anything else. I would also recommend just getting into the groove of it, not burning yourself out. Maybe just posting once a week, then upping it up to twice a week, and then maybe going a little bit more frequently from there.
Right. Yeah, most definitely. I would agree, it's not all sunshine and daisies, right? We have lots of bad times in our day-to-day life and our jobs. And so that's something that I share a lot too. I got rejected from a job I was really excited about. Was it December, January, something like that? And I remember I took a screenshot and I shared it on LinkedIn, and it went like crazy viral. And I was just trying to show people like, hey, like you can be a contractor at amazing companies and still get rejected by other amazing companies. It doesn't make you any less. It doesn't mean I'm going to give up. It doesn't mean that anybody should give up. And I think that it's so important to share those vulnerable moments. And I say it every live. I'm going to say it again. People hire people, not robots, guys. Come on, you're getting sick of me saying it by now, I know, but it's so true. And so share those real human moments. And I think that it really, obviously sharing human moments is going to humanize you, but it really grounds you and allows you to relate to people on that level, who are then going to want to reach out to you and network with you about future opportunities. So couldn't agree with that more.
Exactly.
Love that. Well, would love to hear a little bit more about what you're doing with TechPod, because I've been super interested in TechPod. I hear all these things about it. So I'm sure there's some people out there who don't know what it is and, would maybe benefit from the value. So tell us a little bit more about TechPod and what you do within the space.
Yeah, absolutely. So TechPod was founded by two students in the US, Vicky and Joseph, and they really just bonded over like wanting to work in the tech industry, but not having the technical skills or really the desire to learn those technical skills, just because that's not who they are. Which is funny because now they're learning a little bit of coding and programming, but that's besides the point. Our community is really about helping students understand that they can still work in the tech industry without having those skills, and that there are a lot of other non-technical skills in the tech industry. So I think the statistic is like there's over 40% of positions are in those non-technical roles, whether that be human resources or marketing, business strategy, etc. So on LinkedIn, we have a presence there. That's where we started. And we also host events pretty much weekly, whether that be panel events with various speakers, or we also have a lot of different recruiters come on and speak. So I think we have a couple of like events on product management coming up. So if you are really interested in just looking at these different kinds of roles that are available to you, just learning more, this is a really great way to just check it out and network with people as well. And we also have a really awesome newsletter. And that one sends out job postings and internship postings on a weekly basis. So definitely sign up for that if you're interested in learning more and also learning more about different business terms that you should know. It's a really helpful newsletter to sign up for. And then in addition, we also have a TikTok and an Instagram that are great follows.
Love that. Lots of valuable content that you guys are sharing. Yeah, I've seen some posts that have gone and other people have shared content I see, and I'll click on something and it's like it links back to TechPod and stuff. So I know you guys are doing all sorts of crazy work. So I applaud you in that regard. Definitely check it out, guys. Great resources. Would like to pivot though a little bit because you are unique in the sense that you are a more university geared recruiter, correct?
Correct.
So would love to pick your brain because I don't specialize in new grads, but I get lots of questions from new grads. So would love for you to elaborate a little bit more on, how people just stepping out of this university space, just starting off, how do you feel they can put their best foot out there and make an impact in today's job market?
Yeah. So I think that recent grads, they have a lot of grit. They are super passionate about, just getting their foot in the door and trying the best that they can. So I definitely want people to keep that momentum going and just understand that it may be hard to land that first job, but, everyone's in it together and a lot of people are also facing similar challenges. So don't be discouraged if you can't find a job. Maybe it's just about timing. Maybe it's about your resume maybe not really portraying who you truly are, or maybe it's because you're getting stuck in the interview process and maybe your verbal communication skills aren't as on par as other candidates. So I would say try to identify which stage of the process you're getting stuck in. So if you're getting stuck in the interview stage, maybe work with a coach or even a career counselor on that. If you're not even getting interviews, then that probably means that you're either A, applying to the wrong places, or B, that your resume is not strong enough. So kind of reevaluate your strategy in that way and see what works and what doesn't. And if you need to go more of the networking route, try that as well. And new grads, they just have this drive that I really love to see. So one thing that they tend to do is kind of say that they're ready for a bunch of different roles, or that they're trying to target all sorts of different roles. But for me as a university recruiter, it's a lot easier for me to help you if you know exactly what you're looking for, or at least a general idea. So saying something like, oh, I'm looking for roles in X or X, but not necessarily X, that's a lot easier for me to work with than if you just say that you're open to anything. And then on top of that, I would say another tip is in order to put your best foot forward, like definitely show your personality. A lot of recent grads are afraid that, or that they want to kind of portray themselves as a very professional, very competent person, but these hiring managers don't necessarily expect you to kind of have the air of someone who has 10 years of experience. So just show that eagerness, show that you're willing to learn, show your personality, and just have a good conversation with them in your interviews.
I love that. Yeah, I think the clarity piece is super important. So I love that you hit on that. And if you guys haven't checked out episode 4 of the Let's Get Hired series, go check it out because we talk a lot about clarity and how important it is to really understand where you want to go so you can get there. It's, and I think Andrea did a great job at describing it. It's like, you can have all these ingredients for the recipe, but not know how to put them together. And so the clarity piece really helps you understand where you're trying to go in that regard, so that when working with someone, Sarena or myself, you're going to have more impact and be able to get more out of it, because it's important to know where you want to go. It's important to know where your skills meet your passions, and where you can make the best of those two things meet. So definitely try to clarify your experience if you can. Additionally, I would say for my new grads, get on LinkedIn as soon as possible. I did not do it nearly soon enough. It's something I tell everyone. I'm like, start networking today. I wish I had done it like, 3 years ago, 8 years ago. I can't believe there's people who've been on LinkedIn for like 10 years. And I'm like, this is great. It doesn't even feel that old to me, because I just got so heavily involved with it like last September. It hasn't even been that long. So, and Sarena Tseng as well, she barely started posting content last July. So it'll just go to show you how much traction you can get if you stay really committed and consistent. So highly recommend, starting to post, obviously, if you're comfortable, letting people know who you are, just like Sarena said. That's going to help attract the right people who really resonate with your message and bring them to you.
Exactly. Yeah. And, I wish I started posting on LinkedIn earlier. And I think everyone is going to, once they start networking, they're going to wish that they started networking even earlier. So you can't really regret what you did in the past, but you just got to make sure that you do it in the future. So if you aren't scheduling those informational interviews, it's never too early to start. I also know a bunch of people in high school who are already building their brands on LinkedIn, which I think is actually absolutely mind-blowing to me, because I don't even know if I had a LinkedIn account back in high school, but they're killing the game. They have thousands of followers. They have such great content. So that's just super inspiring to me. Don't feel bad if you're not in that situation. I think the majority of us aren't, at that stage and being able to start so early, but today is the day to start networking if you haven't already. And right now is a great time to start using LinkedIn, because I think it's less intimidating doing it now than to do it later on when the platform gets more and more saturated.
Right. Yeah. And it's only going to continue to do so. So definitely take advantage now while the getting is still good. I cannot believe that there's high school. I had not heard of that. I've not seen any high schoolers on LinkedIn, but that is crazy. I don't even think I would know what my personal brand was at that age. Like who am I? I don't even know who I am, but I think that speaks to personal branding and how it can change and develop. And that's something I definitely speak to with people and clients about a lot as well, is that your personal brand is you, and I feel like that's something people get hung up on is, what is the personal brand? I mean, it's you, and it's what you put out there for others. So it's dynamic. And it's going to constantly change. So I love that, because you can be 18 and have a personal brand, and then, 2 years, it's going to be completely different, but it's all you, it's all your message, it's all organic. And I think as long as you're staying true to, again, your passions, your skill set, and who you are, you're just going to see insane success. So
yeah, exactly. And I know people always talk about this concept of a personal brand, but I know that can be intimidating. Like for me, I didn't really decide, who I wanted to be, and then form content based on that. I kind of just wrote whatever content I felt like writing, and then my audience kind of helped me discover which niche I wanted to go into. So, you don't have to have your personal brand all figured out. Like your audience is going to evolve with you, and you're going to evolve with your audience. So, don't feel like you have to have the pressure of knowing exactly who you are and exactly what your passions are, because you're going to figure out along the way, and it's perfectly okay to document that as well.
I think that's a great call out too. Yeah, because it can just grow and change so much. I know when I got on LinkedIn, and I always tell people this story, I didn't get on like seeking to become a career coach or to like start creating content. I honestly got on for selfish reasons. I was like, hey, I'm going to build my network. I'm going to find some jobs. And then I got on LinkedIn and I started really learning about how to network effectively. And that's when, I started posting more, and I was like, oh, I really love writing. I really love writing for people and for them to like, hear the message. And it really leaned into a part of me that I had forgotten about. And so in cultivating that, and, it's so true. Your audience finds you. I promise you guys, whatever you have to say, there's going to be people out there who resonate with your message. So I encourage you, if you are brave enough to put it out there, because I promise you, it's only going to be positive. There's only going to be people reaching out and giving support and love. There's like the rare random comment and you delete it. They don't need to be in your feed anyway, but generally yes, 99% of the time it's going to be positive and inspiring. So I can't encourage people to do it enough. It really is a big boost and so much fun.
It is a lot of fun. Yeah. And I feel like I've grown more confident in my writing skills in the way that I've never been able to before. And you get a lot of like gratification and affirmation because of the work that you put out there. So I don't know, for me, it's just amazing because in school, I would write and then I would get a grade for it. And then my teacher would see it and that's it. Like your work didn't really have any impact. But on LinkedIn, you can reach so many people all across the world that you've never met before. And I think that's just so beautiful.
Yes, most definitely. Yeah, for sure. Well, Sarena, we're going to pivot a little bit here. Would like to ask you, being a recruiter in your space, what is your favorite thing about what you do?
Yeah. Let's see. For me, I would say, just being able to make that offer to a student who has gone through the whole process, who has applied for many positions before, maybe interviewed for a couple positions at the company, and they finally make it to being selected by a hiring manager. And I call them and they're super excited to hear about the offer. I think that just makes my day every single time.
Yeah, same for me. I always feel like, and I feel like I date myself here because it's like no one remembers who Ed McMahon is, but you guys remember, like Publishers Clearinghouse, like the big check, and you're like, hey, you won the money kind of thing. So I always feel like that when I get to speak to candidates and have some good news for them. It's just one of the most rewarding jobs in the world, and getting to help people secure their dream positions and things they're really excited about. So I would say that's definitely one of my favorite aspects too, as well as getting to help people with their resumes. I do have a particular passion for resumes after reviewing 35,000 in my time.
Wow.
It's so many resumes. But I feel like it's something that can truly, like you said before, make or break you. You're obviously, you're not going to get the role if you don't have a great resume. So it's something I'm really passionate about helping people with, and something I definitely would love to pick your brain on a little bit as well. So for you as a recruiter, when you're looking at resumes, just kind of tell our audience a little bit about what you look for specifically and what attracts you to candidates.
Yeah. So I made a post about this recently, but the first thing is that your resume doesn't have to be all colorful, doesn't have to be in a super fancy format. It could literally be the most boring format ever, and I would be perfectly fine with it. So that's the first thing. Another thing that I look for is, those crucial pieces of information that I need to see on your resume. So like your location. Some people put like whether they're a citizen or if they're on a permit, their email, their phone number. You got to have all of those things on your resume, because if you don't, then I can't contact you. And so there's no point in reading the rest of your resume. And then in terms of the actual resume like format itself, if you're a student, like the first thing you should have on there is your education. Like don't put your education at the bottom. We want to see where you go to school, and we want to see what major you have, because that indicates a lot about where you're going in terms of your career direction, especially if you don't have prior experience in the role. So sometimes it's really hard for me to like find where someone's major is within their resume. So just go ahead and put that whole education section on the top if you're a student. If you're a working professional and you've been out of school for, I don't know, a year or two, or maybe you had one job, go ahead, you can put it at the bottom. At that point, it's good to just kind of rearrange based on that. And then in terms of the bullet points, I would say this is where it really makes or break. So everything else you can't really control. You can't really control the titles as much or the dates, but the bullet points is really where you're going to be able to distinguish yourself from other candidates. So I love seeing percentages. I love seeing impact. I love seeing what exactly you did within the context of that company. Those are some things that you need to be able to communicate to people and really show your value and what you brought to that company.
Yeah, no, that's all great information. I would say that additionally, oh my goodness, it's like it was in my head and it just like flew away. This always happens when I'm on live. So you guys know it's real and in the moment because I forget what the heck I'm going to talk about in that instance. But no, I would definitely agree with Sarena when it comes to the education. That's actually something I really hit upon with new grads versus industry. Yeah, if you're a new grad, make sure it's up top. If you're industry, definitely put it at the bottom. We don't need to see it at that point. Also, when it comes to your GPA, I feel like at a certain point, like usually they put it at first, and I feel like it's useful for recruiting more so in your sphere probably. But once you get further down in the industry, you don't necessarily need to have it, guys. And yes, +1 to the non-colorful resume. You know, plain, simple, impact. For those of you who are a little bit more industry related as well, I always love to plug your resume does not need to be one page. This is not necessarily for my students. Most of the time, y'all are good with one page. But everyone else, you know, don't be afraid to make it longer if you need to. Make sure you're showing the, you know, full breadth of your experience there and really providing that hard-hitting information, data and impact. So, and that carries across all the spaces, right? Data and impact are absolutely crucial. Show what you changed. I always like to remind people, think of it as CAR, challenge, action, results. You know, how did you get there? And make sure you're showing how you think through the process, almost like STAR method within your resume so that you make sure that you're hitting on every single point within the space.
Exactly.
Yeah. And we've got 3 minutes left, Serena. I want to make sure I'm conscious of your time. I always, you know, don't like to keep my guests too long. I know you guys have lives to lead. But in these last few moments here, would love for you to let everyone know where to find you, how to get a hold of you. And then if you'll leave us with some of your thoughts on hiring for 2021, just some general last minute thoughts of advice for our job seekers out there.
Sure. So you can find me on LinkedIn, obviously, Sarena Tseng. And make sure that you send me a personalized invite if you want to connect with me, because otherwise I might not see you for a while. And other than that, I would say in terms of the job search process, you know, I can give you all the technical tips that I have, but I would say make sure that you are keeping your mental health in check, because that is so important during this time, especially since we're not able to see our friends as much and like apply for jobs with them and go out to career fairs and meet recruiters. It can be really, really exhausting just staying in your room and looking for jobs 8 hours a day. So take those breaks as necessary. Make sure you're establishing boundaries with LinkedIn if that's something you're already using pretty often, because it can get really emotionally taxing to see other people's announcement posts and then feel sorry for yourself. So that's definitely a cycle that you don't want to get into. Try to, you know, practice gratitude every single day, whether that's like writing down 5 things you're grateful for. That'll really put you in a little bit of a better mindset. That way, when you go into the job search, you're coming from an abundance mindset as opposed to a scarcity mindset. Because companies want you as much as you want them, and you want to be sure that you are bringing your whole self to the table instead of a broken side of yourself.
I love that. No, that is such great, solid advice. I don't think I have anything to add. That is wonderful. Yes, guys, take care of yourselves and your mental health. As someone who feels like a crazy stressed out person all the time, it does not work very well when I'm stressed and overworked. So definitely take care of yourselves. Your health is the most important. If you can't, health is wealth. You can't do anything moving forward, and you're not going to be able to get a job if you're not getting any sleep at night. So great insight, Sarena. Thank you so much. That is it for us, guys. I appreciate you being here. You have been so wonderful. Everyone, please connect with her. She has amazing insights. I repost some of her stuff sometimes because she's amazing. So definitely connect with her, follow her. We're going to have you on again sometime soon because this was great. We're going to talk more about new grads next time. I'll come with some more in-depth questions. I get so many new grad questions. So you're going to be my new queen for that. And yeah, thanks so much for being here. I hope you have a great weekend.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Have a great weekend as well.
Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye.